Hello and welcome to the Omaha Podcast, where Omaha's most successful entrepreneurs help you grow your business. I'm your host, Matt Tompkins of Two Brothers Creative. All right, let me ask you this. Be honest, what is your greatest weakness? Maybe it's business in general. Maybe it's financials, finances. Maybe that's your weakness. Or maybe you need help with a business plan. You haven't even started your business and you don't know where to start. Well, it turns out there are numerous free resources for small businesses right here in Nebraska. The Nebraska Business Development Center. It's a little known program available for small businesses in Nebraska. Today, we want to make it a very well-known program because the resources they have are incredible. On today's episode of the podcast, Catherine Lang, Executive Director of the NBDC, talks about how these free resources can help small businesses like yours right here in Nebraska.
So this morning I was driving down Highway 75 heading south through rural Nebraska. It was a real honor to go to the ribbon cutting of a brand new grocery store in Peru, Nebraska. Two entrepreneurs from Louisville took a leap of faith. I call it an entrepreneurial leap of faith, and they started a grocery store in nearby Louisville. It's been wildly successful, and they decided to do it in Peru. And Peru has been very supportive of an outsider coming into town and opening up a brand new grocery store. But at the ribbon cutting, I couldn't help but just sit back and think, what are the chances that this business isn't going to be here in 5 years? Because statistically, nearly 50 or 55%, or maybe even as high as 60% of businesses will fail after 5 years. And I was quoted in an article yesterday about that failure rate. What are the chances that this business is going to fail? And conversely, what's going to prevent it from failing?
That's the key thing. That's the question you don't want to ask is, will my business fail? Or you don't want to answer. To prevent it from failing, you have to ask the next question, what do I do? And Kathy Lang is Executive Director of the Nebraska Business Development Center, my old job, it's a long title, is here with us today. And that's exactly what you do, right? So this is a great opportunity to hopefully help impact that statistic that 33% of all businesses, small businesses, fail after the first 5 years.
So, Joe, what I love about your story is that these two individuals are solving a problem. And as long as they are solving a problem and have customers that want that solution, they will survive. They will stay in business. I think for a lot of business owners, they need to take the time to think through, what problem am I solving? And if they can have clarity about that, I think they have a greater chance of being successful in the long run.
I think you're right, Kathy. But it does beg the question. Here you have a need in Peru. There's no grocery store. There's nowhere except for a local Casey's gas station to pick up anything that resembles food or toiletries. But is that enough to be successful? Clearly, businesses are solving needs regularly, but they're still failing. Why are they failing?
Yeah.
So the other topic that we had visited about was the idea of understanding your cash flow, understanding your balance sheet, understanding your business. And that starts with a business plan, but very specifically, it'll hone in directly on all of your financials. And the Nebraska Business Development Center, which provides no cost, confidential, one-on-one services to business owners, focuses in that area very specifically. That is one of the areas that all of our consultants are trained in, and we spend most of our time in that area of business acumen. We are one of many providers in the ecosystem, but that's our niche.
So what's the catch? No cost, confidential, one-on-one. Yeah. Doesn't happen, does it?
Yeah, well, it does happen at the Nebraska Business Development Center.
There's so much that small businesses just don't know about that's there for them. Like we talked about Google My Business in an episode. There's a lot of free resources. When I was looking at the list of all the things you provide, me and the team here, we're looking at it going, oh, wow, well, okay. How soon can we schedule an appointment to go down there? We ran into this same issue of cash flow. And cash flow is something you hear about. I've heard about it. I'm like, yeah, I know what it is, but a lot of people don't pay attention to it until it's too late. And it was actually an episode we did about businesses failing. I thought, I should probably, financials are not my strong suit. I should probably take a look at that. And I'm glad I did, because we could have, if a few things go wrong, any business, ours included, could really face some tough decisions. So with cash flow, do you start with an analysis, or how do you does the Business Development Center approach cash flow?
So we will do it from two different perspectives. It depends on the client. We have clients that come to us that have not started business yet. So they are just starting. And so we'll do financial projections with them. We will look at the market. We will understand their competitors, and we will work with them to build their financials. And let me be really clear. We work with them to do this. And here's why. They have to know their financials. And so if they don't know their financials inside and out, we have done them a disservice. The same is true of their business plan. So we work with them on their financials. And so a brand new business will do projections. But if they have an existing business, then we'll look at their existing projections or their existing financials and look at how much are they paying for rent? What are they paying for labor? And help them analyze where are the pressure points within their business that they can adjust, and then let them make those decisions and implement those to help the business be more successful.
And it's confidential. You mentioned that earlier, which is great. And also, is there no judgment? Is it like a judgment-free zone? As I feel like looking at that, it's almost like the world seeing you naked, really. If you just open up your books and your personal and professional finances to somebody, that's a very vulnerable place for, I think, most people. And that's kind of a scary thought. So the businesses that face cash flow problems, you mentioned earlier that you help them when they're starting and they're already in business. Is that the same with a business plan? So a business plan, is it too late if you've been a business for years or however long? Is it too late to create a business plan?
So I think it is never too late to create a business plan. And if you've gone out and you've been brave, because it takes a lot of guts to start a business. So if you've gone out and you've been brave and you've started your business and you have no business plan, and that happens, then along the way, you're concerned, you're struggling, you're looking at your financials, you can come to us at any point along the way to work on a business plan. Because the benefit of that is it provides great clarity to the business owner. Oh, what are we doing? What are our objectives? Who are our customers? And it can help a business who maybe drifted out a little farther than they should have in terms of the purpose of the business, to pull them back. And then looking at, okay, now how would your new financials align to this more clear, concise business plan? And that's helpful to any business owner at any point.
Right. 67% of businesses don't have a business plan, excuse me. Is it because they don't have the knowledge to do it, they didn't know you should have it, or they don't have the funds to do it before they started the business? Which would you say?
I think it's more that they really wanted to start a business. They were very passionate about a concept, and they said to themselves, I'm going. And so they began. But as they move along, they become more sophisticated. And then it's a question of how do you find the resource to help you to write the business plan?
Right.
And so to your point, I mean, and no one likes me to say this, but it's true. I think the Nebraska Business Development Center is the best kept secret in economic development in Nebraska. If you know us and if you've worked with us, you know who we are. But if you never have, how do you find us? Right? And so a lot of people don't know we exist.
Well, that's what we're doing here. We're telling the world. We're telling the world. You hit on that too with the secret. I think a lot of businesses keep things secret, and they don't want to ask questions because it's embarrassing or it feels embarrassing.
Pride gets in the way.
And I'm going to ask a question here that I know a lot of people are thinking in their head right now, what the hell is a business plan, and how do I even get started making it? Like, what is it? I mean, it's not just the doing it, it's not knowing what it is in the first place.
I think a business plan provides incredible clarity to the owners to know exactly what they're focused on. And then they stay focused on that problem they're solving and who are the customers that they want to reach, that they know they are going to solve they're going to solve something for a customer.
So like a customer profile, knowing who it is, what you're good at, and finding that one thing and focusing on that, and then finding that one profile of who you're going to do that product or service for. Is
Yes.
that kind of, I guess, sum it up in basic terms?
I think that sums it up.
All right, good.
very
Guys, did
nicely.
you get that? So we need to do that later today. Let's schedule that in. But you're right. But you mentioned charging. I don't know how much do you charge? How much profit should a business have? And we just did a consultation with an US implementer, and it's like, so you have 30% profit after you've paid everybody and yourself, right? Oh, well, no. No, I'm not even getting paid, right? No, I'm just kidding. But it's something you don't think about. You don't know. You don't want to ask because it's embarrassing.
And that's why I think, at least for the work that we are doing with our clients and doing it confidentially, they know it is confidential. They know it is one-on-one. That's the other thing. You can go to a class, how to write a business plan, and they're great. And people can dip their toes into, do I really want to start a business? And they can go and have those classes. But when it's your turn and it's your business plan, you want to be talking to someone who is talking to you and you alone. And so that's why we believe our services are so valuable for folks that are starting and growing small business in Nebraska.
Kathy, can you give our listeners a sense of how long is a business plan, even a range, and how long does it take to develop one?
So it depends on the client.
Yeah.
Some clients get right into it. They set up their business plan, they get it done. It can be 3 pages, it can be 10 pages. It depends on the business. But it's up to the passion of the business owner how quickly they want to get it done. We have people who have come to us, and then about a year later, they come back. And that's okay, because you know how scary this is. You're not ready to quit your job. You're not ready to go yet. So we are there with them for the long haul. We have customers that are clients that come back to us. We help them start. 5 years later, they're ready to add a new line to their business. So they'll come back and we'll redo the business plan, we'll redo the financials, and off they go with their new line of business.
How often do you have customers come in, business owners that come in out of necessity? They've wanted to rent a space, they wanted to get a loan, talk to a VC firm, and they are requesting a business plan be in place?
I would tell you that most of our referrals come to us from lenders. So someone has gone into their local bank, they've got their idea written on a napkin, and the business or the banker will look at them and go, come back after you've been to the Nebraska Business Development Center. And the person will say, well, what's that? Well, here you go. Here's a card. Get a hold of them.
It's terrific.
My wife told me the same thing the other day. She said, don't come back until you've gone to the Nebraska Business Development Center. It's really scary, and I'll attest to this too. I know at the beginning of the summer, I weighed a certain amount, and till a couple of weeks ago, I had lost about 19 pounds just from stress, because it's a new level of stress when you start out and it's just you, and then you involve other people, and there's more on the line, and you care about those people, you care about this idea, this business, this thing you're doing. I think what would the percentage change? Like, how many businesses would still be open if they didn't consume all of that stress like I was doing for a while, and not just talk about it openly with people, even their own family? Like, how many businesses would still be open had they just spoken out?
Oh, I'm sure many more, which would be great. I don't know that I have a number for that, but yeah.
I mean, would it be a sizable amount though? Is that is that a top issue that you think gets in the way of just resolving things that could have easily been fixed but just were ignored?
I think that's what we all hope. Yeah, that if the services that are available were more readily accessed by our business owners. But here's the other thing about a business owner, and you know this, you guys are both in this space. You're very passionate about what you do. You want to go do it. You are head down, hyper focused on, this is my business. People always say, why don't small business owners ever come to these events? They're running their business. That's why. Right. And so you are all consumed in that. And so to pull yourself out of that, to even take a breath, is hard. Yeah. And so how do we make sure that they know about these services that are out there? They are easily accessible to them 24/7, and then it will make it easier for them. So that's why one of our programs at NBDC is called SourceLink Nebraska. And it is a platform of all of the government, education, and nonprofit resources that have anything to do with business development in Nebraska. We have about 500 of them. And they are all available on this platform 24/7. And there's a calendar of events. So if you wanted to go to How to Write a Business Plan class, it's listed there. And we have other materials that are, like we have a template business plan available.
Really?
So they're all out there. SourceLinkNebraska.com. Yeah.
Kathy, how often do people resist meeting with you simply out of, I guess we'll never know the answer, but out of embarrassment or pride getting in the way for where they are financially speaking or where their business is? I mean, at some point, do they overcome it and get to you and say, I wish I would have done this sooner?
So we do have clients that tell us that. I wish I would have come to you sooner. I knew about you, but I was busy getting my business started, so I just didn't think to go.
We run private Facebook groups in cities across the United States that are hyper-focused on just local and independent business owners. And in Omaha, we have a couple hundred business owners that are in that private Facebook group. And one day we heard from a business owner that was really struggling. So I took to the private Facebook group and mentioned, hey, listen, if you're struggling, you have to reach out to somebody for help. Here's the situation. We, of course, didn't mention the name of the business owner's name, but we did describe what that business owner is feeling right now. They're feeling miserable, they aren't feeling successful, and they couldn't tell you whether money's coming or going. Within minutes, people started reacting to that post saying, thank you, thank you, thank you. A weight has been lifted. I feel like this is a safe group where I can tell everyone how I'm doing. And pretty soon people started saying, gosh, I'm really struggling too. This is where I need help. Is there anyone in the group that has experience? But privately, I started receiving messages that said, hey, I won't post in that group, but I need help. I'm struggling. I'm going to lose my business. If business owners could just understand, and I can speak to this, I'm a serial entrepreneur since the age of 8. My story's well known. Yes, pride has gotten in my way over the years, but growth comes from, breaking through those personal challenges. The reality is if you don't let go of it, you aren't going to be here.
Right.
They call it in that traction. We've talked about that book before, the letting go of the vine. It's like you're just clinging onto it. And you mentioned the busyness of the schedule, and that's been my excuse. And it's probably not an excuse. You make time for things that are important. That's just a truth. And it was actually Joe telling me that story that got me thinking, okay, well, I should probably take a look at things myself. And I mean, I'm not perfect. I'm not like most, I think I am like most small business owners a couple of years into this, where there's a lot of things you didn't think about when you started that, oh, wow, I didn't realize I was going to go from, $100 bills to $1,000 bills coming in left and right. And how do you make time, or how do you squeeze that in there simply to come and get the free services that you have? Is there any strategy or ways to, I guess, kind of the slap in the face, if you will, to say, hey, we got to make time for this and do this?
Well, I think the other thing I wanted to comment real quick on something that Joe said is, I think people think, oh, well, if I reach out, then I've got to get at this appointment. It's going to take time, and now it's going to be another 4 weeks. I will tell you that if a client reaches out to us, we are talking to that client almost immediately. I would tell you within a couple of days maximum. And so I think for business owners to realize, no, if you reach out, these partners are here to support you. They will make time to meet with you and meet on your schedule, because that's the other thing. What works for the client? Mm-hmm. And we're there to serve the client. So we want to meet at the time that works for the client.
And I'm sure with the remote and video capabilities now, I even do my therapy over a Zoom chat, because it's more likely I'm going to make time for that if I do it that way than driving 40-minute round trip. So I think that's a key thing. Let's get to like some of the resources, and funding is one of them, like helping people find funding. So funding government contracts. People don't know a lot about this little secret, which could be a whole episode. I think it maybe will be, but government funding or government contracts and funding, like where do you start with that, and what should people know on the broad view on that?
So I want to divide that into two pieces. So when it comes to funding your business, first of all, I want to be very clear. The Nebraska Business Development Center does not have grants, and we do not have loans. we get a business ready to go for financial resources, whether that's a loan or VC funding or whatever. There are very few grants for small businesses to start. And a grant is undiluted capital, you don't repay it, and that's a pretty narrow little place. We actually have a program coming in the state of Nebraska that's going to help with that, but it's very, very narrow. Government contracting is a business expansion opportunity. So, first of all, the government buys everything. The government buys everything.
And they're listening right now.
And they're listening.
Yes.
And so that's federal, state, and local. All those branches of government buy everything. But they have a process you have to go through to be able to take your goods and services and offer to them. And that's the government contracting piece. I could list off like 10 acronyms all about government contracting and everybody would glaze over. We have team members at MBDC, consultants, who help the business owner navigate the process of government contracting. So you get registered. You get into the database so that you get notices when your business niche is the government is looking for something from you. You then have to prepare your contract. You have to do all the work to get it. It is a bureaucratic process, but our people are there with you along the way. Again, one-on-one, confidential, at no charge to help access those government contracts. And as a business, what's so important is you've now expanded your market. You have a new customer.
There's a dirty little secret I want to say real quick, just to jump in, is the government has to award a certain number or percentage of their contracts that they do to small businesses.
Yes.
I learned this from my cousin, who he works for, does some government contract work. He's like, man, you should really apply for this thing. I don't know, like, seems like a lot of red tape. They have to. It's part of it. So if they're going to do it, they have to just go through the red tape and get a lot better chance, I guess, of getting some big contracts from the government.
We have clients of ours who almost their entire business is government contracting. They have been incredibly successful at it. We have businesses who go out and they have their regular business, and then they just turn and pivot, and the same service is being provided to a government entity. It's a new customer.
Yeah.
We get a lot of questions about how to secure government contracts. Would your team come back at some point in the future for another podcast and talk about this a little bit more in depth?
Yes, absolutely. And that would be real value to your listeners because it is detailed, and we have team members who will do a great job of explaining it.
Great.
Yeah.
Getting a government job, Joe, is that what you're saying to say?
That's right. We're about to pivot.
Yeah. All of these, I think, will be great episodes because today we've talked about kind of the sky view of things, but these are real issues that every business owner faces, entrepreneurs face. I was talking to my wife just the other day about imposter syndrome and how we have that fear. We don't believe we belong in the room, and then so we don't want to admit because of our pride that we're struggling. But if you took a room full of business owners, I would guess 90% of them or more all struggle with the same things. They just don't open up and speak out. What would your message be to the small business owner who is listening right now to encourage them to not only get the resources, and we'll have those in the show notes, but what would your personal message to them be?
Don't give up. Stay focused on the problem you're trying to solve with your business and reach out. Reach out to the partners that are in this ecosystem that are here to support you.
And we'll have, like I said, all those resources and in the show notes and links to set up appointments and all that fun stuff. This is really helpful. I mean, I love doing this podcast. I feel like the side benefit for me is I'm learning so much in every episode. So, which is good because I know other business owners are learning things too. So,
we want you to be a client, and then you can be one of our stories.
There you go.
Tell your story.
Ooh.
If you're an entrepreneur, a solopreneur, an aspiring business owner, an established business, a seasoned veteran of businesses, check Pride in at the door. This is confidential, expert information at no charge.
Thanks once again for joining us here on the Omaha Podcast. Subscribe so you never miss an episode, and we'll see you next time. This is the Omaha Podcast, where Omaha's most successful entrepreneurs help your business grow.